when it's hard to see the impact of what you're doing every day, it can become demoralizing. So it's very important to then realize, like, okay, I'm here on this earth for a reason. What is that reason? And I think the process of discovering that, sometimes we may feel like scared to discover. I would say I did for a while. What's up, y'all? I'm Lauren.
And I'm Adrian.
And this is the Two Mic, Two Glasses podcast, where two best friends discuss business ownership and life. Hey, girl.
Hey, girl. How's it going?
It's going well. I'm happy to be home. I was away last week. Yeah, you were visiting your family, right?
Yes. How did that go?
It was great. I mean, it was a little tiring, but it was great. And then we celebrated my grandmother's 99th birthday.
Wow.
I know, she's so old. 89 years. What a blessing. It is. It is. She is a blessing. She's had like a really interesting life. And it was nice to have like family that I don't even know come out to celebrate her, because she is the matriarch. And she had a ton of siblings, a ton of nieces and nephews, and all of our cousins. So it was really cool.
Right. It was like a big party.
Yeah, it was like one of those, in the hotel type parties, it had a nice lunch and we had some tributes, and it was nice. It was a nice gathering,
You were doing wholesome things and I was doing the opposite.
Girl. So it was your weekend. Girl, how about you?
I went to a boozy brunch in DC on Saturday with some girlfriends, but what I didn't realize is that there was a big music festival in DC that day.
Oh.
And all the youth were there. Youthin'.
The children.
I was seeing all the outfits. All the 90s throwbacks. They have the 20-year-olds now have recycled fashion from like the 90s.
The 90s or I've seen bell bottoms happening again.
I've seen bell bottoms.
I remember that. Well, the 70s, and then it came back when we were in high school. That was 2000, early 2000.
So like tennis skirts are in. Okay. They're like little mini tennis skirts.
The pleated ones?
They weren't pleated, but they were very puffy. So it's like a nouveau like tennis skirt.
Okay.
And I was seeing like lots of shirts and things with strings hanging on. I feel old.
Strings? You mean
like
on the side?
Tighten it, yeah.
Oh,
but I
like the ruching?
I was looking around and I saw like 3 people surrounding me, tables surrounding me that had like some ruching going on. So it was a lot. It was interesting. It was entertaining. I felt old though.
That is slightly hilarious. But we over here wearing skinny jeans, which apparently are out of style now.
I just bought some skinny jeans.
High-waisted skinny jeans are that bad.
Yeah, to manage the.
I don't care what the new kids are doing. I'm gonna stick with me a high-waisted jean, honey.
We wear the classics. Like our fashion is timeless.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yes. So, in spirit of girly fashion, so what are we talking about today?
We are talking about what a girl wants, what a girl needs. Whatever makes it happy.
What album I knew the words?
Does the girl remember the words? No. But wait, what are we drinking today? Hold on.
Yeah.
We left that out.
Drinking. Pretty bottle.
We are drinking the 2020 Torial. Okay. 2020 Torial red wine. It's from Sonoma County. So, over there in the Napa.
Okay.
The Napa Valleys.
Napa?
So let's see what this Torial is doing. Cheers.
Not bad.
You can't go wrong with a red blend.
Not bad at all. Awesome. Okay.
Okay. So back to what a girl wants. Okay. So we want to talk today about figuring out like just your life, your purpose. I think a lot of times we feel super isolated because we are figuring things out, maybe don't know exactly what we want to do or where we want to go, and we feel like we're the only ones in that situation, and that is just not the case.
Yeah.
Like, for the majority of our lives, we are discovering our next steps, no matter what age you are.
Yeah.
And I think like once you realize that, it just becomes a lot easier to, and maybe there's less pressure to continue discovering.
Yeah. So like figuring out our purpose. Do you feel like your purpose and like your job are like should be the same thing or like aligned?
Oh, that's a good question. I guess it depends on the person. For me, I would say growing up, I found a lot of value in like, okay, let me restate that. Growing up, I was really good at school. So I found my value in being able to do well and like performing the things that I need to do, right? So that includes for me now work, right? So if I do not perform well at work, or if I'm having like issues at work or whatever, that kind of it probably shouldn't be this way, but sometimes impacts like how I feel about myself. And that's like things that I have to work on personally. But it's like I'm that type of person where those type of dutiful things, I don't even know if it's duty, but it's just like those type of things kind of impact how I feel about myself. But then there are some people where it doesn't, where they're like find complete fulfillment outside of work or, you know, things that they're required to do to live.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like for me, so like I grew up and as I grew up, I always was like really creative and I was doing a lot of painting and drawing and stuff. And I knew that like I wanted to incorporate that creativity in what I was going to do as a career. And so that's what kind of led me to marketing, because it was like the mixture of like business and creativity, which I also was passionate about business. So I feel like for me, there always was some level of alignment. I wouldn't say that every job that I had was like specifically like my purpose, my passion, but I felt it, I did feel as though from a young age, like I definitely had a kind of guided journey, and I still am kind of following in on it. Cause like I guess the web design part, that was like a hobby, but now because I think it turned into a business because it's been my creative outlet. So when I was a kid, doing painting and drawing was a creative outlet. And now doing web design is a creative outlet. And that's probably why I was able to grow it into a big business, because I was doing a lot.
And you still find fulfillment in the activities that you have to do to...
Yeah, so the fulfillment that I get from it is a mixture of being able to use it as a creative outlet. So when I finish a site, like sometimes I feel like I like the site more than like the client's like,
wait a minute.
No, the client's like the site.
Reframe, rewind.
No, okay. So like when I finish, like I'm very meticulous and very detail oriented and stuff. And when I'm done with the website, or I'm going to say done because sometimes, you know, there's still like little things you want to tweak. It's like I've created a work of art. And that's how I feel. The fulfillment that I feel on it is like a work of art. And the different things that I do as I'm doing it is like, it's just like, I just see it. Like, I'm like, something isn't right. And it can be as little as like spacing, but I'm like, something isn't right. And it's because of like my artistic brain is like, it's not like flowing in the way I need it to flow, or something just feels off. So once I get it, it's not off. It's like there. I get a lot of fulfillment, I guess, like kind of like a hobby, like doing something that you just really love to do. Yeah.
And then having it done and you're like,
yeah. And then
I get it.
I also get fulfillment from helping my clients like get into business and entrepreneurship, because it's also something I'm really passionate about, is people growing their business. Get into business.
Okay, so let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Do you feel like when you're 21, like let's say we're graduating, do you feel like where you are now kind of matches the purpose you had in mind back then?
I think when I was 21, I was senior in college, and I was studying marketing. So I was like, I feel like that was kind of phase one of like my journey. So I will say that I'm in the realm. of it, but I don't know if I thought that I was. It was like I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I don't know if I thought that I would be doing marketing as an entrepreneur. So I think when I was 21, I was like, oh, I'm going to be at like Procter and Gamble or Target, like as a big marketing like rep, or I'm going to be like, chief marketing officer at some company. Like, I think that was like when I thought was like being on top and like really doing it. And now like I could care less about having any type of, I don't have
a title.
I run from those like people send me job lists and I'm like, I'm not want to be working for someone else.
I am not about to work for
definitely don't want that responsibility.
I am not managing people, but you do manage people.
Yeah. Well, it's not even managing people. It's, I don't want to be managed. I don't want somebody above me.
Say that again.
I want to work on visions that I feel passionate about. And so that's the vision of my company and the vision of my clients. I don't want to be pursuing or helping the vision of some big business.
I can understand that. I can definitely understand that.
What about you? Do you feel like you're like, what did you think you were going to be doing or wanted to do at 21?
I definitely was going to be just working for someone else. I remember specifically saying like a little bit after we graduated, like, I don't know in a business. I'm just going to work for these people, get my money, come home and do whatever I want to do. Like, I just never saw it in entrepreneurship, but I honestly don't think I had strong feelings about where I was going after college, as long as I had a steady job. And so that landed me like, because like I told you, like when I was in high school, I loved music. I loved all this, I did softball and I did all this stuff in high school. And it was fun things, not necessarily things that make you money. Yeah. So when I went to college, I was still doing a lot of musical things. And I just kind of became an accounting major or like a business major because I was good at math. So I think my mom kind of influenced that a little bit. And so like when it got to graduation, I think like I was somewhat influenced by the recruiters that came to school. So I was just like, was I super passionate about wanting to go into audit? No. I remember specifically, and this is, I think kids now are smarter than us, probably. But I'll say this, and I just got to own how I was. I wasn't, that ambitious.
I need more context.
I'm going to get to it. I really wanted to have an internship at PwC because they went to Disney World.
Okay.
I remember specifically them being like, oh, we do training at Disney World. And I was like, I want to go to Disney World. So I just, I started interviewing for Big Four. Uh-huh. I was also pushed by some wonderful professors like Dr. Hayes that pushed me toward accounting, but it's not necessarily something I want to do. It's something I was probably kind of good at.
Yeah.
Like kind of figuring out the logic and balancing the journal entries and balancing the financial statements. So I got like pushed into it, but necessarily like, was it my purpose?
Yeah.
I mean, the goal was to be self-sufficient after college. And so I was able to get the internships I needed. Like I said, I was good at school. I'm really good at executing the things I needed to do really well. So I finished school. I got the internships I needed. I was really good at talking to people, really good at interviewing. So I got jobs, I got opportunities, and I just kept leaning into it, even if like accounting, audit, like was I passionate about that? Was it a purposeful thing? No. But I was good at it. So I'm good-ish, so I got the internship with KPMG at the end of the day. The company and the people that I was surrounded with like during that process was great. I was like, okay. And then I interned there for a summer. And then like the beginning of our last year of school, I had a job. So I was chilling. And I was like, okay, got a job, secured the bag. We're good. I'm just going to go into this thing. So like the thought of having something that is going to be of purpose for my entire life was not a thought at that time in my life.
Do you feel like you know what your purpose is currently? I know I put you on the spot, but because I know for like a lot of people, well, just in general, I feel like there's like a couple ways, especially when we think about it aligning to work. So I feel like there's people who are like, I work in my purpose. And, shirt, purpose focus. Hey, I'm probably one of those people like,
you definitely are.
I'm doing my purpose. Yeah, like, I'm all about purpose. But there's other people who are like, I work at things that I'm really, really good at. And then I do some things that I feel really purposeful to me through church or through volunteering or through, some other.
And actually, as I was going through my quarter life crisis, realizing that I could not do this for the rest of my life, I was at KPMG. I remember I had my hairdresser was like, girl, your hair is gray. I was 25, 23 or 24. Mm-hmm. She said, your hair is turning gray. It's like black, gray, black. I was like, oh, I'm stressed, because it is a little bit of a demanding type of job in the beginning or forever. And I was like, this can't be life. This cannot be what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. And I literally was just like, slumped. I remember having a slump oh, is this what's going to be? I don't know if I could do this. So I had that moment, and I think I moved jobs. I came down to DC. That was exciting, right? It's new. It's fun. It's a new job. It's learning something new. Mm-hmm. I'm in a new area.
So you were doing similar stuff, but with a completely different company.
Well, it was like going from external audit to internal audit changes your hours, right? So external audit is really demanding. It's a lot long hours, a lot of deadline, checking your hours really closely. It's a lot of work. Mm-hmm. Coming into an internal audit, it can be demanding, but it's definitely a slower pace. Okay. So, I would be home. I could do 9 to 5 most, some days, it's still overtime, but it's just a different lifestyle. So then I had this burst of energy. So I'm like, oh, okay, I'm home. I can make friends. I was going out. I was doing stuff. And then I got to another slump where I was like, oh, I need to find something else. And like you said, finding purpose outside of work could be where you just find what you were meant to do. So I started volunteering. That's how I met a lot of people through the Greater Washington Urban League, working with Thursday Network. I joined a cool church where I was able to do a lot of, just a lot of things that I used to do when I was younger. So yeah, fellowshipping and dancing and things like that. So I found a lot of purpose in those things, which was completely outside of my job. Yeah. I would say I didn't find purpose in work again until I became more entrepreneurial. Mm-hmm. And it still wasn't my full-time job, but it was like, oh, let's talk about hair. I love talking about hair. Yeah. You have issues with your hair? Me too. Let's talk about it. Let me see how I can help solve that problem.
And I think a lot of people are like that, where and they might not even consider it a business that they're doing on the side, but they're doing something that they are enjoying. Like maybe they have a YouTube channel, or or maybe they're doing hair or working on cars or whatever. And they're like, yeah, this is like it. Maybe that is related to purpose. I think ultimately purpose, I don't know what the Webster dictionary definition of it, but I feel like purpose is something that makes an impact. Mm-hmm. So it's like a gift that you probably have, and then it's paired with something that is gonna actually make a sustainable change outside of you or outside of people just making money or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is sometimes hard to find when you're in a corporate space, because you're like a cog in a very large machine, and sometimes you don't see the direct impact of what you're doing for your job. Yeah. A lot of people work jobs where the part that you're playing kind of feeds into this larger thing.
I'm sure you're enjoying this episode, but we wanted to quickly pop in to let you know about the cool swag we're wearing today. AMW Apparel is a line of inspirational and entrepreneurial clothing for those looking to stand out and make a statement to their following. We provide comfortable and high-quality t-shirts, sweatshirts, tank tops, and more. Enter code 2mics2glasses, which is the number 2, MICS, the number 2 again, GLASSES, with no spaces, for 10% off your first order at shopwithamw.com. Link in the description. We appreciate your support.
And so when it's hard to see the impact of what you're doing every day, it can become demoralizing. So it's very important to then realize, okay, I'm here on this earth for a reason. what is that reason? And I think the process of discovering that, sometimes we may feel like scared to discover. I would say I did for a while. And I was like, I'm at this age, I'm in this stage in my life, I should know what's going on. I should know what I'm supposed to be doing already, because this person over here already did this and has $1 million. And then this person over here, I see her online or him online, and they're like really impacting people's lives. And I'm over here like confused.
Yeah. That's how you were feeling.
That's how I was feeling. I was feeling like that for a long time, like after quarter life, like into 30s and stuff. I just didn't know. Like, I would find things that made me happy, but it still wasn't like, okay, I know I'm working and living in purpose and I'm making an impact in the community around me. So I would say, like, it's just kind of, I'm still discovering.
Yeah.
But I think it's like we need to normalize that that's a normal thing.
Yeah.
Because I think it's more abnormal for when you see a young person figure out their purpose and really just make huge impact, and just know what they're doing, what they're going to do and what they want to do for their entire adult life.
Yeah.
That's probably more rare, at least in my opinion. If it's not, it's not. Like, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But from what I've seen, that's what is the, not abnormal, but, that's the exception.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Like, normally we all trying to figure it out,
Yeah.
and like, that's okay.
Yeah. And like, so purpose or just like those type of things, I've found that sometimes it can get really boring, like doing the same thing. Like, even though you may feel it's your purpose or whatever, like if you've been doing that thing for 20, 30, 40 years, or maybe 10 years or 5, like you might be bored of it after a while. And I'm not going to say that it's not your purpose because you're bored, but maybe it's okay to have multiple, things, purpose. And because again, I'm going to bring it back to impact. I feel like it's okay to have different ways that you're able to impact others or the community or whatever. So maybe for 5 years of your life, it's in one way. And like maybe you do it through music, and then you do it through, I don't know, like when you were helping the political candidates and stuff,
Yeah, that was interesting avenue.
Yeah.
But I would say, like, to answer your question, do I know my purpose at this point? I know for the foreseeable future that, like, kind of goals that I have for the next maybe 5 to 10 years.
Okay.
But do I think I'm in my purpose? I think I'm still finding it. And like doing things like the podcast and like putting myself out there is helping me to discover more of what I enjoy.
Yeah.
That can help to make an impact on others' lives. I don't know if I found it yet.
Yeah.
What about you?
So I do feel like I kind of know what my one of my purposes is, and I think that I am doing, like, there's like kind of different ways that I'm like hitting it. So like I'm very passionate about helping others get into entrepreneurship, which is one of the reasons they're doing this podcast. It's one of the reasons I have my business. But I also like have my nonprofit that I haven't done anything with yet, unfortunately.
Yep.
And I feel like that part is one of the parts that I'm going to feel even more passionate about. So like right now, I do feel really passionate about helping business owners or prospective business owners like grow their businesses. But in the way that I do it right now with my company, I have to charge thousands of dollars to help them. And, yes, that's how it has to go for this business to be a sustainable, business. But I would love to be able to spend more of my time for people that like could not afford that and stuff, or for people that are like young. And I haven't quite found the way to like be able to sustain my livelihood financially yet and do that. But I think that that's like kind of the next phase of my purpose. And I think it's going to feel more fulfilling when I'm at that phase. So it's kind of like, it's very similar. Like I do think this entrepreneurship, like inspiring and helping people get into business, launch, grow successful businesses. I love it. Like I just am very passionate about it, but I would love to like do the nonprofit side where I am teaching high schoolers and middle schoolers this. Or low income communities. Like I think the impact is going to feel so much, and it probably will be greater, you know, because that's somebody that like maybe didn't even know that they could, you know, have their own business or, you know. So, yeah.
I will say, I just thought about this when you were kind of talking about your purpose in life. When I was in high school, I remember saying that I wanted to open a music school and provide instruments for everybody, regardless of if they could afford it or not, and then have classes and teachers there, because I do think that music is one of the, like, being in band and learning an instrument gave me a lot of discipline, but it also helped me to work with people, because if you think about it, and this is like nerding out a little bit, I apologize, but like think about playing in a band, right? You have to be right most of the time. You have to have like 100% rate of being right when you're hitting your notes, when you're playing with an ensemble of people. If you are wrong 1% of the time, it could be a train wreck. You know what I mean? The whole band has to work together to sound good, to get to a certain goal. And I think that is such a wonderful life lesson, and it gives you discipline, you know, like having like even team sports, I think is kind of a similar thing where you have to work together to get to a higher goal. It just helps you to work with people, talk to people, you know, be great at something individually, but also know how to do that with people. I think it's just so important for kids to continue to be able to have programs for music. And I know that those are like, the arts are like the first thing to be cut with what's going on with schools and budgets and all that, public schools and things like that. It's just like, those are the first programs to go. And I just feel like they enrich kids so much. So that's something that I would love to do. Yeah. But have I taken any steps toward that? Absolutely not. So maybe that's like an elderly purpose-filled thing. But
well, I don't know. As you were talking, I was thinking, have you thought about, is there a way for you to combine multiple passions you have? So like you have the passion about the music, you have it, like, you know, accounting, auditing, financial, you know, faith-based, like you have like these different areas. Have you ever thought, is there a way that you can be tapping into all of that, you know,
at one time?
Yeah, well, in one entity. So like, for example, I love singing gospel music, and I've sang in choirs like my entire life. I'm not currently in a choir, and I really feel like the deficit in my life with it. And I also like have always known that I like to public speak. And I have always had this vision that I was going to like speak it on a stage in front of thousands of people. And again, it would probably be about this entrepreneurship and, you know, whatever. But like, I was thinking like, okay, maybe what I can do is I could do a speaking engagement. Maybe it's at a school. So do a speaking engagement about entrepreneurship and growing your business, or maybe a small workshop at a school. So that's hitting the nonprofit side where I'm teaching them how to become an entrepreneur. Maybe there's other sessions after that. But I open the speaking engagement by singing one of my favorite gospel music songs. And one of the that's like an intro into it. And I'm able to incorporate it into, you know, what I'm talking about. I think there's a way that you can.
That is very interesting. I've actually recently saw someone do that. Like, they had people come in a choir singing, and like it was a very inspirational speech. It was the life story of someone, but that is a thing that could set you apart, and I could see that happening. Like, that's a very interesting thought, to put everything together.
Yeah,
I don't know,
but I could
see
you
the
doing
point,
because I always felt like you're the financial side and then your music side is like,
how do I bridge that gap?
Yeah, but how can you like kind of?
I don't know.
I think there's you can create.
I tried to join a community band, but they wanted me to wear khakis. So,
aren't you wearing khakis
no,
now?
girl. What?
Khaki color?
Yes, this is a sand-colored pants.
They did accept sand,
not khakis. Okay. Oh my goodness, that was rude.
So why don't we kind of wrap this up by talking about some ways that people who are trying to figure out what is their purpose, what is their passion, how can they like discover what some of their strengths are?
It's a good question. So, me liking to take tests and stuff. No, I don't like taking tests, but I remember being at work, forgive me, Googling, how do I figure out what I'm good at to work somewhere else? And I stumbled upon like a couple of different personality tests.
Okay.
Just to see like, okay, based on how I answered the questions, like just being really honest, how is it assessing me? So I did do the Myers-Briggs.
That's like the ENTJ.
Yeah.
Do you remember what yours was?
I think it was INJ. No, I have it on my phone somewhere. Yeah, it's on my phone too. But I was like, oh, I'm introverted.
That's how I thought I was extroverted from Myers-Briggs. I was like, oh, okay. And then my more introverted friends were like, yeah, Adrian, you were
like, I want to go out. I was like, why?
I was the most introvert part of my friend
of DACA.
Yeah, of my friend group for most of the time, like for high school and college, I was the quietest person in my friend group. But what I realized is I was the quietest person in a group of extroverts.
All extroverted. That's a true statement right there. But yeah, those types of things will help you to really see like, okay, you're extroverted. That means that you will thrive in environments where you are touching and talking and being around people. And if you're currently in an environment where you are isolated, that is probably not the best. That's not going to fulfill you.
Yeah.
Right. So like figuring out those parts of things of yourself that maybe it's not always obvious, especially I would say in my 20s, late 20s, early 20s, like 20s in general was like a confusion. But, that's where you kind of can be like, put the pieces together. Like, yourself, your personality, but sometimes when other people point things out about you, it kind of makes things click. So that's what these things do.
Yeah.
There's another test that actually I took. Michelle introduced me to this from Mitchell Consulting. Hi, Mitchell Consulting, which is Strength Finders. She actually, and this is a great tool, any boss, I would say, she makes us take all these different tests to figure out how to best manage her people, which I think is amazing. It really helps you feel valued as a team member. But also, she's like, okay, if I communicate this way to this person, they might not receive it because of their, what I learned through the test it took. So I think that's a great tool. But I learned Strength Finders through her, and it really helps you to see like, what are you great at? For me, I'm introverted, but apparently I had a lot of like people-centered things were high for me.
Not a surprise.
Well, I do like to interact one-on-one, not like extroverted where I want to be talking to stages like you. But I would say like on a one-on-one, and I do really well. And I have seen that through like my advisory clients, like we have great rapport, and I'm finding a lot of fulfillment in those things because I can see how I'm helping someone, even if it's like very, like a small steps toward their goals. So that's super fulfilling. And I kind of learned that through Strength Finders. And at first I was like, but I'm an accountant. I'm supposed to be the paying attention to detail, like kind of like engineer type thing. And those were not my strength.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really good to know what your strengths are, like you said, because I discovered some things. So I took the Myers-Briggs, which was helpful. Another one that was helpful for me was the spiritual gifts assessment. I took it through my church, but my results said like I rated really high with like administration. And administration is basically like the secretary of different things and organizing different things. And I was like, oh yeah, that's what I like. That's what I do in my personal life. Yeah. And for my friends and for my family and stuff. So
who puts the trips together?
Me, right. And I enjoy like doing that type of stuff. So it was funny because and I also was secretary of Thursday Network of the Urban League.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't even want to be secretary initially. I was trying to be like membership chair or something. And I just had a lot of competition, but I did an excellent job.
And then you started Spirit of Service Awards, which is
well, that was on the fund development side. But again, it is kind of administration because it's the organizing. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, I think those assessments are really good. Once you're able to figure out what you're good at, you can find work roles or maybe community service things that you can do where you're operating in your strengths.
Yeah. And find fulfillment, because ultimately we are here. We are not working to live. We're not living to work. We're working to live. And so we need to find enjoyment in life.
Yeah.
We need to be okay with not being okay, be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And if you don't know what you want yet, that's fine. You have time to figure it out. I'm my big old age and I'm still figuring things out, but I do.
It's not that big.
Like to find contentment and find happiness and joy in the journey, and find joy in the friendships, right? As you age, you realize that it's not about oh, I'm that thing, I'm the VP, I'm that thing. It's really about the people you're surrounding yourselves with, because as we grow in age and we see our parents going through, they're getting older, they're going through things, we're finding losses. I'm starting to see how they live, and they pour into all the people around them. Their community is so strong. Mm-hmm. And they have found the most joy in not in their careers.
Yeah.
And while I'm not saying that you can't find joy in your career, but it's okay if you don't.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like my family, some of it's been learning lessons, because some of them are they're saying you need to do this, you need to work in this corporate job for 1 million years so you can XYZ. But then they're now later in life and they're looking back I wish I did some things differently. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Lots of good juju, good information.
Yeah.
What should we toast to?
I think we should just toast to my word of the year. Last year was discovery.
Okay.
And I think continuing to discover who you are, what you like, because you change over time, right? Mm-hmm. Even if you're discovering what your man like, or your woman, or whoever you're with, continue to just be curious and learn more about yourself and what you love, and bask and live in that love. So discover, y'all.
Fierce to discovery. Yeah.
Oh, my leg. Oh my God.